I was making 34 grand a year as a bookkeeper, and in 2 weeks I made 40 grand flipping a house. Where people see houses, I started to see money and opportunity and a future. I'm the ultimate firefighter in business. Everybody's trying to talk me out of it. I'm trying to talk myself out of it. And he actually penciled it out on a napkin. And I thought, man, could this be so stupid simple that I can actually learn something from a napkin? And no, it's not that simple. At some point, if you don't quit, you stay the course, you believe you're gonna get a win. And when that win happens, all of that hard work, all that stuff solidifies, going from hope to like, I hope I can do this, I think I can do this, to knowing like I freaking did this. And not only did I do it, I'm gonna do it again and again and again.
Welcome to the Fearless Founders Podcast. Today I'm here with the one and only Cody Sperber. And I'm so excited to have you because he knows this, but before I ever started my podcast 2 years ago, I was like, Cody, I want to start a podcast. If I start one, will you come on it? And he's like, yeah, go be shitty on a couple episodes first, and then I'll come on later.
Work out the kinks?
Work out the kinks.
Sounds like something I would say.
Well, you didn't say go be shitty, but yeah, you were like, go do a few, and then come and I'll come on. So thank you.
Hey, we're here. Let's
we
go.
made it.
Hey.
Only, 3 years later.
That's all right.
Yeah.
We're here. That's all that matters.
It is.
Yeah.
So, Cody, what about you? I feel like you've had tons of shifts in life. You are like the ultimate businessman. I think every time I'm around you, there's like some business call going on and you're putting out fires, but you're making it happen constantly.
That's actually a really good way to say it. I'm the ultimate firefighter in business.
Yeah. You are.
Yeah. I mean, that's real life. That's how business is.
It is.
Yeah.
But how did you become this man that you are today? Like, where did this start? Where did the fire for entrepreneurship, and how do you keep going with all the stuff that you go through?
Yeah, that's a big question. The short answer is I love to be in control, and I hate to be out of control. And as a kid, I was out of control a lot. And when you're being told what to do and where to live and how to act and all these things, you just kind of either are constantly fighting against the system or you're daydreaming of a day when I'm in control. And so entrepreneurship was my only path. I'm not a good employee. I'm not a good team member. I break rules. I fight the system, and it's just ingrained in me. And I find a lot of entrepreneurs kind of have that spirit of like, that kind of, I'm like a cowboy, cowgirl, where you're just like, hey, I want to go do it my way. And so, but I didn't know what to do, and that's always a lot of the question, a lot of new entrepreneurs, like I want to start my own business. I want to do my thing, but like which lane, which vehicle? And I just got really lucky in that. A friend of mine flipped a house and made a bunch of money. And there was a series of events that happened when I was a kid. Like the richest guy in my town had his name on a building. And I was walking to school every day and I stopped in and I said, how do I get my name on a building? I was a little kid. And the receptionist said, well, he does commercial real estate. So that kind of planted a seed, like real estate. Oh, rich people do real estate and they get their names on a building. And then when I was in the Navy, my dad bought me the book, Rich Dad, Poor Dad. And that was the first time I had really read a book, cover to cover in one sitting, and heard of assets and liabilities. And I'm like, oh, real estate, that's what that rich guy did back in my hometown. And then fast forward, I'm in college, and a friend of mine flipped a house. His name was Jeremy, and made 80 grand and bought a new car. And I'm like, I want a new car. What did you do? I flipped this house. Real estate. So then I either wanted to be a marine biologist or a history teacher, something like that. And I was going to college for a degree, to get a degree in finance, because my dad was pushing me to do finance. And I actually stopped and talked to the history professors before I picked my major. And I said, do you make a lot of money in your job? And they started laughing, and they were like, no, I have a second job. And I was like, okay, history teacher's out.
Yeah.
And so finance was in, and then this real estate thing came into my life. And next thing you know, I fell in love. I just got so excited about this concept of real estate. Everywhere you looked, I was like starting to see, instead of like where people see houses, I started to see money and opportunity and a future. And it took me 14 months to do my first deal, really long time.
Is that to buy your first house or to flip it?
To flip a house. So
Okay.
the thing my friend did was this concept called wholesaling, which is no money down real estate. And I had never heard of it until he was explaining it to me at this lunch. And he actually penciled it out on a napkin. And I thought, man, could this be so stupid simple that I can actually learn something from a napkin? And no, it's not that simple. But the seed was planted. And so you got to go back 22 years, no social media, no online education, no podcasts like this to learn from. And so what we used to have to do is look in the back of newspapers, find a classified ad that would say real estate seminar, Reno, Nevada, $500. And I would call a phone number and talk to a salesperson, and they would sell me a ticket, and I'd get on a plane and show up in this airport seedy motel, and some guru would pitch you some course or a boot camp or a coaching program or something. And that's what I did for the first probably like 8 or 9 months. I was just going to seminar after seminar, buying books, tapes, courses. I have a lot of them right out here. I got a whole moving boxes full of all this crap I bought, like $30,000 worth of shit.
To keep it all, it's going to be antique.
You know, and even though those things overwhelmed me, and it was like drinking from a fire hose, and I got overwhelmed and I got in my own way, and this is probably pretty common stuff for a lot of entrepreneurs. I gravitated towards the things that I was comfortable with or I could do, like build a logo, build a business card, go out and network, start to build a website. And those things don't actually make you money. I was focusing on the things that I was more comfortable doing or thought I could do, and not on the actual mechanical things that make you money in real estate, which is what took me so long. I was overcomplicating everything and kind of in my own way. And I had a lot of self-limiting beliefs. I'm 46 years old as of this podcast, and but I don't look it, you know? Well, imagine when I'm 20, I look like I'm 15. So in my mind, I was like, who's going to ever take me serious? That I'm going to show up at your house. And wholesaling is this concept of flipping contracts on real estate. So you find somebody who's really, really motivated to sell. And some of you listeners might have seen those We Buy Ugly Houses advertisements out there. Well, what do they do with those houses? Why are they buying ugly houses? Well, they're choosing that lane because normally if people have a distressed property or they themselves are distressed, they're going to sell at a discount, which means that you could get a good deal. And there's kind of that golden rule in real estate. You make money when you buy. And so we were looking for motivated sellers, working out a deal to buy their property, putting it under contract. And during the contract period, even though I haven't purchased it yet, all I've done is filled out some paperwork, I now control that real estate. So if I say to you, I'm going to buy it for $300,000, but it's really worth $400,000, but it needs a ton of work. I can turn around after I get it under contract. I now control your real estate, even though I haven't bought it yet. I could flip it for say $310,000 to Squeak over here, who's running our audio. Let's say he's got a bunch of cash and he's looking for a good deal, right? Well, normally people that have a lot of money, they have more money than time because they're busy. So I go to Squeak and I serve it up on a silver platter and I say, hey, dude, you want this deal? It's worth $400. I could get it to you for $310. Needs everything. I mean, it's a pretty ugly house. And he looks at it and goes, not only can I fix the house, but I can add a bedroom and a bathroom, increase the value. It's actually not worth $400. It's worth $450 by the time I'm done with it. And so, yeah, I make a quick 10, but I leave a lot of meat on the bone for him to make a lot of the money. And that was wholesaling.
I love that you explained that because I'll be honest, I've never understood what wholesaling was.
It's like what Costco does with muffins.
Yeah, and it makes so much sense.
Buy
when you
low,
said
sell
it.
low.
Yeah.
Everybody in the transaction wins. The seller gets to sell and get their cash that they're desperately needed. Let's be honest. Are Americans good savers? No. Everybody's living paycheck to paycheck.
Yep.
The average American has $7,000 to $8,000 in their bank account. At average, best case scenario, you get into one emergency, have car trouble, some issue, you can evaporate your savings very quickly. So that means most of their money is trapped in their equity of their house. So that's why they're willing to sell at such a discount. So anyway, I'm now going, but I look like I'm 15 years old. So I'm like just terrified to pitch these people. Hey, I can stop your foreclosure. I can help you out. I got cash. And they're looking at me like, dude, is that your shitty Nissan pickup truck that you parked down the street because you're embarrassed parking my thing? And so I struggled big time. And I actually quit and unquit a couple different times. And it took me 14 months to do my first deal. But I will say this, just to tie a pretty bow on this concept for any of you guys starting anything, because it is scary. It is overwhelming. It does take a lot of seeds planting and a lot of sacrifice, and you have to increase your skills and capabilities. It takes a lot longer time, money, resources, energy, everything than you think. And as time goes on, the voices get louder. Your internal voice, the voice of my girlfriend who's sitting there going, are you sure? This doesn't seem right. You should probably just stay focused on getting a degree and getting a good job. And your parents are sitting you down at the 9th month and saying, you're making the biggest mistake of your life. And my dad was my hero. So I'm like looking up at him. I'm like, oh, so you don't think I should do real estate? No, get a job, save money. Later on down the road, when you have money, you could do real estate. So everybody's trying to talk me out of it. I'm trying to talk myself out of it, but I'm so hard-headed that I just kept fighting and fighting and fighting. But it got to a point where I had a deal, it fell apart, and I ended up quitting the business after this big deal fell apart. So a guy screwed me out of the deal, and I got pissed and I threw in the towel. And about 4 months later, I unquit and got back into it. I actually found a mentor, somebody who was really doing it at a high level. His name was Lyle Wall. I met him at an event, and that mentorship changed my life because he stopped all the BS that I was doing. He's like, fuck your logo, fuck the dude. He was real. He was like I almost picture him being like, who was the guy who coached Mike Tyson? What is that guy's name? Do we know who he is? I don't know who he is either. That little, he's like a little like, Italian type guy.
Okay.
Just rough, direct, but a great coach, great mentor. That was Lyle. He had Adidas sweatpants pulled up to his nipples, big chunky old man shoes, a wrinkly polo shirt that was like uneven, and he washed it too many times. But he was so good. He actually used Socratic methods to teach me, which means that he allowed me to discover the truth. And this is what I think makes a really good coach or mentor is somebody could talk at me all they want, like, do this, don't do this, and whatever they're telling me. And I might retain 10% of it, but if they just ask really great questions and lead me there and I come up with the answer, then it sticks, right? And that's how he was. He always found ways to spin it back on me. Instead of giving me the answer, I had to discover it, which I loved about him. And so after unquitting, finding Lyle 2 months later, did my first deal for $40,000. I flipped a house. It was a foreclosure, bankruptcy, divorce. It was like the trifecta, really complicated deal. The guy was in heavy distress, and we put a deal together, and I flipped it, and I made $40,000. And at the time, I was so broke, I went and got a job as a bookkeeper. And I was doing that during the 4 months that I quit trying to do real estate. And so here I am in khaki pants and a polo and a cubicle and the whole bookkeeper thing, which, no offense to bookkeepers, great profession, not for me. And now I was making $34,000 a year as a bookkeeper, and in 2 weeks I made $40,000 flipping a house. So it finally happened to me. And the reason I wanted to share all of that is to tell you, planes fly. It doesn't, it's like Roger Bannister running the 4-minute mile. It's like at some point, if you don't quit, you stay the course, you believe in yourself, you're gonna get a win. And when that win happens, all of that hard work, all that stuff solidifies going from hope to like, I hope I can do this. I think I can do this, to knowing like I freaking did this. And not only did I do it, I'm going to do it again and again and again. And I started to collapse time. And that's when it becomes fun. Mm-hmm. And that's when I realized like, man, not only do I see a path finally for me, because you got to be in the right vehicle. Real estate's a big ticket item. $40,000 in 2 weeks worth of work is life-changing moment because it breaks your belief barrier. I'm like, oh shit, what if I can do this over and over and over? If I can make, $10,000 a month consistently doing this, I'll never have to have a normal job the rest of my life. Like what a great life I can live. And then all of a sudden you're like, you hit that and you're like, can I do $25,000 a month? Can I do $50,000 a month? Can I do $100,000 a month? Can I do $1 million a month? And every time I moved the bar up to then I hit it, and my belief changed again, and it kept doing that. And then I met somebody who made $1 million in an hour, and I'm like, you suck. Damn, I want to do that. Like, and he got paid for a speech. And I'm like, man, you build your whole career of value so that somebody wants to give you $1 million for an hour-long speech. That's dope, And mentorship helped. Unquitting helped. Being in the right vehicle helped. And then I just stayed the course for about a decade doing real estate deals. And I started adding to my repertoire, right? It was like, okay, now I know how to wholesale and flip houses. And my mentor hated wholesaling, by the way. He was like, that's not real estate investing. You're just a high paid, like, you're like whatever's better than a realtor, right? Because by the way, you don't need a real estate license to do wholesaling.
Okay.
Because you're doing it for yourself. You're not doing it on behalf of other people. You're putting the houses under contract in your name or your LLC. So that's why you don't need a license doing this. But he's like, you got to own real estate to be an investor, dude. And when I started doing really good at this, I made $1.3 million wholesaling houses my first full 12 months after 14 months. So 14 months, no deal, boom, collapse time, bunch of deals, made $1.3 million my first year. I was like an all-star all of a sudden. And I'm like, my whole life is changing. Nobody in my family was a millionaire. Nobody made multiple millions. I broke a lot of those records for our family. I was able to retire my parents shortly after. And
what did your dad say to all of that? Because you even said, right, and you looked up to him. He was your role model. He goes, don't do this.
Yeah.
And then after you were able to come back,
yeah,
what did he say?
Same thing any dad would say. I'm glad you didn't listen to me, you know. And the way I retired them is I put my dad on salary at one of my companies, and he pretty much just did whatever the hell he wanted. You know, he yelled at me every once in a while for spending too much money, and then, you know, he hung out with my mom and stuff. So it was actually wonderful because the last probably 18 years, I got to spend a lot more time with my dad than I ever thought I would be able to because he was working with me.
Yeah.
After I got good at real estate, I started owning more real estate. Then I got into commercial and spec, and I was doing a lot of big multi-million-dollar spec builds. And I started a development company. Then we started doing commercial development. And I started buying commercial buildings, and that's when I figured out the real money game. The real money game is not residential; it's commercial. It, like the building we're in, I paid $4.25 million or something like that for this building. Put about $1 million down on it, did a cost segregation study on the whole thing, accelerated the depreciation. It's actually worth about $5.5 million. I got a pretty good deal on the building, and wiped out my taxes, wiped out millions of dollars in taxes from one purchase. So that $1 million in cash I had sitting over here that I owed millions in taxes to the government. And instead of giving it to the government, I bought myself a building, cost segregated it, accelerated the depreciation, wiped out all the taxes I owed to the government, and now I own this building that's producing income for me. You get what I'm saying?
I do.
That's why, like, when you hear like Donald Trump, like people get upset, like, oh, you don't pay taxes. It's like, yeah, dude, he's smart. He's the smartest one in this room. And all the billionaires are doing this. They're playing the money game to win. The challenge is we're not taught this shit.
Yeah.
Nobody's like sitting there going, hey, here's mandatory classes in high school that I need you to take. Real estate investing 101, how taxes actually work, how to eliminate your taxes.
Which we should be learning because every single person pays taxes till they die.
Oh, it's ridiculous. So ridiculous. And I haven't paid taxes in, I don't know, 8 years now or something like that, 9 years. And there's lots of ways. It's not just commercial real estate. There's a lot. The government tells you what they want. Like if they want affordable housing, they're going to provide tax breaks for affordable housing. If they want heavy equipment, heavy machinery to build America, they're going to give tax breaks on heavy equipment, right? And so you just need to be in the right circles so that way you're exposed to this stuff. And then as I was doing really well in real estate, other business opportunities started to come across my way, right? Other relationships. And it was like, right now I own Floor Daddy, which is a flooring company, and we're scaling that very, very quickly. I own the development company. We own a title company. I have Clever Investor, which is an online education brand. And so now it's like you look at me and you're like, wow, you own like 5 or 6. I own Snap, a supplement company. It's like, oh, you got all these things? It's like, yeah, but I didn't for a long time. I used my real estate money to get into all these other businesses. I formed great partnerships with others, amazing human beings, which is why I'm able to do what I'm doing. And now here we are sitting here talking, you know, all these years later. And I look back and I'm like, dude, I was just a dumb kid, a D student from Mesa, Arizona that used to sell weed out of a Burger King drive-through window.
You did?
Yeah, why not?
Why
Well,
not?
it's a pain in the ass to go to you. You come to me.
Yeah.
Yeah, after skateboarding around selling weed out of my backpack in high school,
It's genius.
I was like selling weed to the manager of Burger King.
I love it.
And I was like, dude, I'm sick and tired of coming here. Can you just give me a job so I can do this out of the window? And he was like, I don't care. Next thing you know, I had a little business. And that lasted about 9 months till he got fired.
Entrepreneur.
I know.
Look at you
Yeah.
from the beginning.
Yeah.
Well, I think what's really important for people to hear too is you didn't have all of these companies at once. People are like, I need 5 streams of income. And so they try to do 5 things at once and then nothing takes off.
And I think that's great. If you live in Bali, surf all day, and you have, you know, $400 coming from this little thing and $1,000 from it, and you have this very low level lifestyle, and that just covers your bills so you can surf.
Yeah.
Love that. If you want to really make real money and be free, it ain't that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So what's next now? So you have Floor Daddy. I'm loving your branding on this, by the way.
Yeah.
All of the trucks and
Yeah.
How has it been going from real estate into like
Yeah.
a service business?
That is interesting question, because once you understand the fundamentals of starting, scaling, growing a business, growing a team, it's all the same. Doesn't matter what industry or niche it is. The mechanics of what we're doing is different, meaning like I still don't know much about flooring, to be honest with you.
Okay.
Like if you showed me different types of floors, I couldn't tell you the difference between the two types.
Mm-hmm.
That's not my thing that I'm responsible for. So when I started Floor Daddy, I went to a couple of my best friends and I said, "You guys want to get embarrassingly wealthy with me?" And they were like, "Sure, what do you got?" And I obviously already had some credibility, so they're paying attention, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I said, "I want to start a company in the home services space. I don't think AI is going to disrupt home services anytime soon. So it's a little bit future-proof. I like going into future-proof businesses. And private equity loves it. I think we can start this, scale it really, really big, and like exit for like 300 to 500 million. Plenty of cheese to go around for all of us. Plus, you're my best friends. I love hanging out with you guys anyway. Let's do this thing." And they've been my friends for 20 plus years.
Mm-hmm.
So I said, "You go to flooring contractor school. Go get your contractor license. You're going to be the guy that knows everything about flooring. And over the next few years, I'm going to make sure that you have all the coaching and mentorship you need to do that. And you're going to go and you're my nerdy operations friend. You're going to go build our tech stack. You're going to get our sales force up and going and build all the automations with me and all the marketing assets and all the things we need to make this machine actually work and also be valuable to somebody down the road, because it's not built off of a person, it's built off a system." Mm-hmm. And then my other best friend, I said, "You're going to be in charge of all the accounting and all the fulfillment," meaning like, because he's really good with math and he does a lot of like the books and stuff for our other companies we own together. And I've had previous experience owning businesses with him. So I said, "And you're going to make sure that all of our vendors and all of our install crews and everything is on point." Mm-hmm. Right. So we kind of divided and conquered, and I'm going to do all the marketing. I'm going to be the person that's going to make sure that the phone rings constantly and we have more leads than we know what to do with. And we're going to scale like crazy. As long as you guys do your job, I'll pour the gasoline on this bad boy. And then I put up all the money to do the deal.
Okay.
So it's great now. We're now 13 months into the business as of this podcast. Took on our first customer 10 months ago. We're doing about $1 million a month in flooring sales right now. So it's scaled fairly quickly. Mm-hmm. You don't want to scale too fast because the system breaks. And we break it every 2 or 3 months. Mm-hmm. We break it in a good way.
Okay.
Meaning like, when you take on 150 new flooring customers in a month, the mechanics of that start to get heavy, right? There's lots of quality control and communication challenges. Dude, we installed floors in the wrong houses.
Oh no.
Like, how the fuck do you do that? And I'm not talking about one floor. Like in 1 week, we installed 3 or 4 floors in wrong houses and had to peel them back up, give the customers free floors, move everything. Like, it was a disaster. But I love when challenges happen because growth is happening really fast. It means 2 things. One, new money's coming in the door. So that's good because sales cures everything.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
So we need that new money coming in. And it's okay to break stuff as long as you don't do the same mistake multiple times. Yeah. Right? So it's like, this happened, all hands on deck, build systems around it. What broke down? Why didn't we do it? So like our meeting cadence ramped way up to make sure that we were like documenting and staying on top of this stuff. So I don't mind those kinds of challenges. I think that's great. Those are the kind of things I want to hear about.
Yeah.
It's when you hear the same thing over and over, like I start to get really pissed off and I'm like, we have the wrong team members.
Because it usually comes down to a team member.
It's almost always culture or team member if the same problem is happening over and over. And that's the other thing we're doing really well is, even though the company's new, the core values of the company, the mission of the company, the energy within the building is very clear. Where we repeat ourselves constantly over and over and over around our core values and our standards and our expectations and how our customer success is our success, and anything, bad communication is the worst communication. And it's just really important to ingrain it into your people that like, we don't want your personal problems coming into this world affecting our flooring customers. And so just training them like, hey, as soon as you park it in the parking lot, all your life is out there.
Yeah.
It's not in here. In here, the only thing that matters is our customer experience. 6:30 hits, I'm back to crying over a beer with you,
Yeah.
you know, about the world's problems. But the second you walk through those gates and you come into this compound, like, we're going to war.
Mm-hmm.
And my goal is 5 years from now, I want to sell Floor Daddy. And I own Window Daddy, Kitchen and Bath Daddy, Solar Daddy, Roof Daddy, Jizz Daddy, all the daddies.
Do you know I actually had a vending machine company called Vend Daddy?
What is it?
Vend Daddy.
Vend Daddy? All right. How come not Vend Mommy?
Because it's what kind of daddy do you want for your vending
Yeah,
machine? You
you
want a
know-
sugar daddy? You want a
Yeah,
healthy
yeah.
daddy?
Oh, I like that. There you go.
Dad bod.
And I was kidding about Jizz Daddy, everybody.
Okay.
Yeah, I was kidding, but I do own all the other daddies because I do look at it like, if I'm in your house, I've already spent so much energy. It cost me about $750 on Google and $913 on Facebook to generate a sale.
Yeah.
Okay.
You've already invested.
I've already invested a lot of money. You know, we're new, and I'm already spending $150K a month on ads.
Yeah.
I'm on TV already. Like, we're gunning. If I'm going to spend this much energy building our brand and putting money into the marketing, I want to maximize that and get the cart value up as much as we can. So if I'm already there, it's like, oh, you need cabinets? Our Cabinet Daddy division can help you. Oh, you need windows, blinds, countertops? Doesn't matter. I want to be able to serve them while I'm in their house. So we're trying to build that value. So when a private equity company comes and looks at us later, they go, wow, you really put a lot of thought into the systems, the culture. It's not based around a single person.
Mm-hmm.
Your brand is, you know, the most known brand in the Southwest. Right now we're in Arizona. I only have 2 competitors in Arizona at this point.
Okay. That's
So
impressive.
in a very short amount of time, I smoked everybody and I'm down to 2. And because our model is we bring the store to your door, so you never have to pay more. So it's like, hey, here I am using AI technology. I can scan your room. I can put any type of flooring right in your home. You can see it on an iPad. We can negotiate right then and there. I can get you, you know, financing with a couple clicks of a button, 0%, 60-month type financing. We're a vendor for every flooring in the world. We could do AstroTurf. We could do gym floors. It doesn't matter. We have every product. And it's just very simple, right? Like DoorDash. Like I don't think I've made a home cooked meal in 2 years.
Dang.
Yeah.
But I mean,
DoorDash loves me, right? Because I'm
Yeah.
like, why am I going to do all these dishes, all this stuff when I can click 3 buttons, the food magically appears and it's amazing.
Yeah. Well, and go to the store, buy it, clean up. Like by the time you do all of that,
Yeah.
and if it's just you or you and your kids.
Yeah. And I know people are probably going to hate on, but it is what it is. I just look at it like my time is the most valuable thing in the world. I want to go fast.
Yeah.
And I have a lot of customers that feel that way. I don't want to go to a flooring depot warehouse and walk around and hope that a designer or somebody comes and talks to me. Like, just show up at my house at my scheduled time, bust it out real quick and do a good job.
Well, and
Right.
you're taking something that's been in the market and personalizing it. Are other people doing that?
There's
At
a
that
couple.
level?
So we didn't invent this style. Empire.
Yeah.
Empire is the founder of this, bringing the store to your door. So I'm just building a better mousetrap.
Yeah.
The way I'm doing, you know, like our fleet of vehicles is Tesla wrapped Cybertrucks,
Yeah.
right? We're just fun, cool, funky, new,
Mhm.
way more agile, way more aggressive, and much, much, much better marketers.
Yeah.
So it's only a matter of time. They're just old.
That's kind of what it
You
comes
know.
down to, right? Because I mean, I see your stuff everywhere now, and I don't know if it's because I'm looking for it or
Yeah.
when I'm in town, I'm like, oh, there's a Floor Daddy truck.
Yeah, we want that. And our fleet's growing and our brand is growing, and you know, TV's expensive.
Yeah.
It's actually, I've learned a lot. Like in real estate, I don't have to advertise on TV. This is my first company where I'm actually advertising on TV. I've spent probably about 25 million on Facebook ads
Okay.
for my Clever Investor business.
Yeah.
So I got really good at creating ads for social.
Mm-hmm.
And we're doing really good on the ads for Google and for Facebook, but TV was a whole new thing for me. And so I had to learn how to create the messaging, create the jingle, you know, make our branding work, write a 30-second commercial, do a 15-second commercial, create multiple variations of those, all the different super sales, the different holiday sales, And so it's been a fun adventure learning that, and then how to buy the TV media spots and which stations produce the best results. You know, is it Cox? Is it Fox? Is it
Does TV still convert?
Actually, yeah, because our
That's a question I was like, I
well,
didn't
think
it
about
did.
first off, women are the decision makers in the house 85, 90% of the time. So and they're a lot of times home watching TV, have their talk shows on or whatever. And so the commercials are kind of just playing in the background. And so we found that a good jingle, a good hook, I'm insanely good looking. So they are obviously paying attention to the spokesperson. In the repetition of it, just you hear that jingle over and over and over, and you don't really realize, unless you're actively in the market for flooring, you don't really realize that I'm like building the brand in your brain. Because if I asked anybody right now in Arizona, name 3 flooring companies, they may say Empire, they may say Express, because those are the ones advertising the most. Those are our 2 big competitors. And by the way, these are companies doing hundreds of millions of dollars. I'm like little tiny, like, but I'm like the mosquito right now, just like stinging them. And I can tell because I track all of our ad spend really. I'm like a scientist when it comes to the KPIs of our ad spend. And I can see us doing this, leapfrogging each other. Every day we're fighting for the top spot on Google, fighting for the top spot in Facebook. And it's kind of fun knowing like, oh, you're paying attention to me now. You know, it's not too much longer than I'm going to be dominating them.
Yeah. Not
too much longer. I give me 12 more months and I'm going to be spanking them. So it's like, okay, I can already see like, good, I'm bothering you. I guarantee I'm in your sales meetings. I guarantee they say, I lost another job to Floor Daddy. I lost another job to Floor Daddy, because the same 3 companies are showing up to every flooring appointment. One of the 3 of us is getting it. Yeah. You know, and so but you don't make money with TV like you do with Facebook and Google.
Okay.
So like if I'm a new business and I spend $1 on Google, I can get $4 back pretty quickly in the same month.
Yeah.
That's my return on ad spend. 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 10, whatever that ROAS is. Facebook, whatever that ROAS is. You spend money on TV, my first 3 months, I made barely anything, because nobody knows who the hell Floor Daddy is. And unless I catch that one lucky person.
But you're building the brand at that point.
But so let's say you start off spending $30,000 a month, you might only get 1 customer for $10,000.
Yeah.
So I lost 20 G's, and even that $10,000 customer, I only have $1,500 in profit or $2,000 in profit on that one, because I just did whatever I had to do to get the deal. So you're going backwards. But what happened around the 90-day mark is the whole tide lifted. Social lifted, all the organic lifted, our call volume lifted. So TV is a great maximizer of all the other channels. And what happens is you start to become omnipresent. And that's really cool. That's when you start to see, oh man, we went from $500,000 a month in sales to $750 to $950 to $1 million. It's like, oh man, now we're gunning. And I don't really have to, I could still spend $30,000 a month, $30,000 a month, $30,000 a month, $30,000 on TV, but it builds. You get what I'm saying?
I do.
Yeah.
And I think what's pretty awesome too is just like your patience and how you track everything, because that's where I think a lot of people just give up. They start something and then they give up because they're 30 days, 90 days and it's not taking off. Or they have a big mistake. Just like you said earlier, you quit, you start it again. You quit, you start it again. So I like that reminder of you're not going to be the biggest right away, but you're like that little mosquito and you just keep showing up and you keep buying all and become omnipresent.
Yeah.
And some things don't always have the return on it. But
And here's the thing. We know that, like I said this earlier, or I might have said it, planes fly.
Yeah.
You can't convince me that a plane doesn't fly. I know the marketing works. I just got to dial in the messaging. I just got to get the frequency up. I just got to just keep doubling down for long enough for all my competition just to out noise them.
Yeah.
And that's all branding and marketing really is who can be the most enthusiastic, creative. And if you see my commercials, they're kind of fun.
Yeah.
And people that don't even know anything about flooring or want flooring tell me all the time, like, wow, like your commercials really stand out.
Yeah.
Nobody's saying that about Empire or Express, and there's a reason. You know, we're just doing it different.
Yeah. Taking something that's been done and doing it different. I love that. Well, let's fast forward. Okay, 5 years from now, Floor Daddy, you did your big exit. What's next for Cody Sperber? Because what do you really want? Where are you at right now with you and life?
Well, with the money that I earn, I would really love to do two things. I love to build for-purpose businesses. You know, we're good friends with Cole Hatter, who, and we actually hung out and met at a charity event down in Mexico when we were working on Cole's orphanage and working with the kids. And so I would love to continue to help go upstream and help kids, underprivileged kids, as many different ways as I could, by helping people like Cole with their orphanages and stuff like that. Green Elephant Development that was the first company where a portion of all of our profits went towards elephant conservation.
Okay.
And I'm really I want to ramp up the amount of conservation I do with animals. So that would be like a big win for me. And I'd love to get my kids involved to hey, we got this huge pot of money now. We got some ability to do some cool stuff. How do we do it? And get them involved in our foundation that I would set up. And honestly, I'll never retire. I'm not built for chilling on a beach with a little umbrella in it forever. I'll go do that for a week or something like that. But then I'm like, okay, what's next? What else can we build? Because I love the pressure.
Yeah, you must, because I feel like you always have a lot of pressure.
Love it. I'm built for this. I just shifted my mindset when I decided to be an entrepreneur. I said, I'm going to outlast everybody. And that's going to be because I don't have a natural talent. I can't jump high. I can't dance well. I can't run fast. I'm not book smart. I might be a little street smart, but I don't have a huge natural talent like a lot of people do. So what are you left with? Well, I got a great work ethic. I'm very hard-headed. I'm probably just stupid enough to be hard-headed to do some of the crazy stuff we do. And I'm going to be relentless, and I'm just going to bulldog my way forward. And yeah, it kills me. It kills me when I see somebody else running past me. Like they're in a full sprint, and I'm like, shit. And I'm watching them on social. I'm like, they're gaining, they're growing, they're killing it. And I'm like the turtle, just one foot in front of the other, like do. But eventually I pass them. Yeah. And I'm like, oh shit, you ran out of gas, dude. Good luck. See you at the top. And we might both get there, but they're running their race their way. And I'm just steady Eddie. So I will probably keep going in home services if this works out really good with my other brands like Window Daddy, Kitchen and Bath Daddy, all that. I'll just keep building the ecosystem. I have had a lot of friends in this space exit 2 or 3 times. And so the first exit is not the exit. Okay. My second or third exit will be the main exit. So I want to build Floor Daddy up to probably doing about, $50 million a year in EBITDA, and then have an exit. Right? And then once we do that, I'll probably sell off 49% of the business to a private equity company, get a big cash injection, and then scale even further. So to get to 50 million in EBITDA, we'll have to be dominating probably Arizona, Utah, Nevada, maybe California. I don't know. That would be my last place I would go. But it would definitely be a Southwest regional brand. And then I would be like, okay, how do we go even further with it? And then once it got to maybe 120 million in EBITDA, I'd have a second exit and make a decision if I'm burnt out on the brand or not. Yeah. Yeah.
I would love for those who are listening and don't know what EBITDA is, because you explain things in really great ways.
It's just what you're left over with. It's earning before interest and taxes. Okay. So it's kind of like, you got all this top line revenue coming in, but then you have all these expenses and all these things. And then there's a chunk that a lot of investors look at, where's your bottom line? Is it stabilized? Is it coming from a certain place or a certain person? Is it if you lose this sales guy, your income drops? Yep. Or is it your system brings it in, or your continuity, your reoccurring revenue bring it in? Is it just the power of your brand? This is why I have to be careful building it around me as the brand mascot. Yeah. I'm going to get it off the ground for the first year, but I'm going to start introducing a female spokesperson, my other business partners as spokespeople. Maybe even hire an actor to do the spokesperson thing. That way it's not, nobody looks at it and goes, hey, this is an Achilles heel of this business. If Cody goes, the whole brand drops. Yeah. And with Clever Investor, that's how it was. I am Clever Investor. I am the brand. And I sold that company and I took it back because the guy who bought it couldn't figure out how to make it run. And it's probably partly just by design of how the thing is, without me championing it. It just lost some of its sizzle.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So
I do, because you were that brand, and it was you.
yeah.
But okay, so now you're selling. You love the game. What do you say to people how do you find like this? Obviously, you can just tell you love it. Like you can just see it. You have a fire when you talk about business. You light up. But how do people keep going? And I feel like you've gone through highs and lows. And
Yeah.
have you had times like where you're just like, I can't do this anymore?
Never once.
Okay.
Never once did I say, I can't do this anymore. I might say, fuck this, or, kick and scream and throw a temper tantrum. And if I even said, I'm done, I'm out of here,
Yeah.
I never meant those words.
Yeah.
It's like, no, I'm built for this shit. I love this, and I'm going to do this.
Do you have any tips or tricks that can help people keep going when they're going through the hard times?
Well, first off, it's like an old Tony Robbins concept, right? It's like, you don't have to do this. Mm-hmm. You get to do this. Mm. You get to be in America. You get to have great laws that support business. You get to have easy access to information. You get to have a $1,000 super brain in your hand at all times. You get to have access to mentorship. If you told me, hey, I live in Vietnam, our average annual income is $1,800 a year. Mm-hmm. We're ran by the most corrupt government and I'm not saying this about Vietnam. I'm just saying, let's say you said, like, in my country, the worst government ever, none of the laws support what we do, corruption everywhere. I would say that sucks. You have a really hard uphill battle. But if you're one of these little soy boy entitled bitches here in America that's complaining about every little thing on social media the second like the wind blows, it's like, come on now. You have no idea. I figured this out when I was in the Navy.
How long were you in the Navy?
4 years.
Okay.
Go to Pakistan.
Yeah.
Go to Jebel Ali. Go to Iraq. Go to Kuwait. Go to the Persian Gulf. Go to Thailand. Go to any of these countries that don't have even close to the go shit in a hole somewhere on the outskirts of Singapore. Like, good luck, dude. It's like, you have no idea how good we have it, and I'm not going to squander this life. One of the best things Lyle ever did for me, I was really struggling making my calls because it was kind of scary. I wasn't confident back then, and I didn't know what to say. What if they hit me with an objection? How do I overcome it? What if they say no? What if they say yes? Whatever it was in my head at the time, I was like freaking out. So he did this really cool exercise with me where he forced me to go to a cemetery in the middle of the night and role play doing fake calls with him. And
cemetery?
In a cemetery. And he's at home, and I'm in the cemetery, and I got my script, and I'm role playing with him. And after about 30 minutes, I was kind of chuckling because I was like, this is so absurd. Like, what a great lesson, Mm-hmm. It's like, here's him in his dress pajamas chilling, and I'm over here in the cemetery by myself reading scripts. And after we got done with that exercise, and by the way, that was the last day I ever not liked making phone calls.
Wow.
It was like a light switch flicked in my brain, and from that point forward, I loved making my phone calls. So it was just, he put me through this exercise that allowed me to discover that I'm in my own way. I'm being a little bitch. If I could do it in a scary place, I could do it in my dress PJs at home, and it just kind of worked. I was like, okay, let's go to war. I'm ready. But then before I left, he said, Cody, look at all these gravestones. Look at all these people, man. How many of them do you think lived their life to their fullest? How many of them do you think have a ton of regrets? Because that's you. Yesterday, that was you. You were going to fuck up your entire real estate career because you were making excuses that weren't even real, self-imposed fears, self-imposed excuses. Now, literally one day later, you're like charged up, ready to go take on the world. Just a simple mindset shift. And you have to make a choice how you're going to live your life. Are you going to slide into your grave full of regrets? Or are you going to play full out? I can't answer that for you. It's not like we don't know how to diet. It's not like we don't know that the gym is good for you or walking is good for you or moving your body or eating healthy. But why are 45% of Americans overweight? Mm-hmm. And a ton of them are obese. We're the most obese nation in the world. 83% of men can't do a single pull-up.
Wow, I did not know
Like,
that.
what the frick is the matter with all these people? You can't do a pull-up? Pull-ups are hard.
Yeah.
Because not only are you pulling up your body weight, your joints, your hand grip, your strength, your muscles, your back muscle. It engages a lot of your body to do a pull-up. And when you look at our society, we've gotten so soft because it's been so easy. Mm-hmm. We haven't had anything scary since World War II, you know, and, you know, well, maybe Vietnam, but it was like, since then, our generation, especially 90s, 2000s, has been really, really soft. Yeah. And I guess this is just the natural cycle, but it's up to us to kind of re-engage and say, do I want to be ripped, rich, and rare? Do I want to set a standard for the people that are watching me right now? I got kids. You got kids, for those of you that have children. They're watching you even though when you don't even know they're watching you. Mm-hmm. They're absorbing your mannerisms, how you think, how you react, and they're mirroring you. Well, if you're a fat ass, they're going to probably be a fat ass. They're not going to have motivation. If you're an alcoholic, a lot of times that's why they become alcoholics. Yeah. You know, if you're gunning with your health, they're seeing that. Yeah. If you're talking about reading personal development books and connecting spiritually and making God the center of your universe and praying before meals, it's going to change the whole dynamic of your household, mm-hmm. right? Yeah. And so I just looked at it like, I can't control anything. Weather, gas prices, who the freaking president is, but I can control my daily habits. I can control whether I make my bed in the morning. Mm-hmm. I can control whether I go to the gym and drink. Every morning I get up and I drink a glass of pink Himalayan sea salt electrolytes with half of organic lemon squeezed in it. Mm. I've been doing that for a couple years now. It changed, just that one simple thing changed the whole morning routine and the way I felt. Mm. Because your body's hydrated. Mm-hmm. Lemons are natural energy, right? You get a little natural sugars and you're like, boom. Just that one simple thing, and then going for a nice power walk.
Well, and you know why, you probably already know this, but it's because we're so severely dehydrated, and then you've already slept for 7-8 hours with no water, and then people wake up and drink coffee and then wonder why they feel like crap.
Exactly. And trust me, I drank the coffee so many times and felt like crap so many times that you just get fed up, and you're mm-hmm. like, enough's enough. I'm going to get my health in check. And what I use the pull-up thing as an example because it's hard. And every single man should be able to do a pull-up. Mm-hmm. I think it should be a manly requirement. One pull-up. Yeah. Like, and if you can't do a pull-up and you don't want to do a pull-up, it's not about the pull-up. It's about what you have to mentally go through to get yourself to a place to be able to do pull-ups. Mm-hmm. It's more of like, are you willing to do something really hard that is probably really good? Because if this building caught on fire, one of you mofos is carrying me out, right? If I'm injured and this building's on fire, I'm praying that you guys are strong enough to at least put me on your back and carry me the hell out.
You're looking pretty strong these days. I don't know if I could carry all that muscle.
I'm 6'1", 207 pounds. Okay. Could you put me on your back?
We'll find out.
All right. Hey, you heard it here first. She said, we'll find out. Okay. No, but you get what I'm saying? Like, I couldn't do a pull-up.
Really?
I could not do a pull-up. I could do an assisted pull-up, you know, and
how many years ago were you able to finally be
well,
able to do
I had to do my first pull-up when I was coming in the Navy.
Okay.
That was the first, but it took me months to even be able to do a few pull-ups. Okay. Then I lost it again, you know, after I got out of the Navy. It's not like I was working out all the time. And then I made a decision probably like, I don't know, like 4 or 5 years ago mm-hmm. that I was going to get in the best shape of my life. And I started doing 75 Hard by Andy Frisella, and that is more of a mindset thing than a fitness thing, but it is probably one of the best fitness things you can ever do. Mm-hmm. And look it up. It's called 75 Hard. There's groups around it. Andy's done a good job getting the messaging out about that. And what's cool about 75 Hard is it creates the routine. Yeah. That's the part that's the hardest for most people. Fads, diets, New Year's resolutions, none of that shit works.
Yep.
Because you don't stick, right? It sounds good until day 25, day 35, day 40. 75 Hard is 75 days of 2 workouts a day. Drink a gallon of water every single day. 1 workout for 45 minutes has to be outdoors, 1 45-minute workout indoors. Mm-hmm. You take a picture of yourself, so there's a progress tracker, right? And they have an app if you want to do it within the app. And then you got to read 10 pages of a book. Yeah. And that's it, 75 days in a row. And there's nobody watching you but you. If you miss part of the gallon, if you read 9 of the 10 pages, it's only you and your integrity mm-hmm. that police this thing. And if you can authentically make it 75 days in a row, not only, and by the way, around day, I would say 25 to 30, you go into God mode. And I love the way you feel when you break through that barrier, because it feels like, oh my God, not only is this getting easier, I freaking love this. I feel amazing. I am fired up, charged up. And what makes 75 hard, really hard, is if you have to travel, if you have kids, if you have life, it's very easy to get up against your back against the wall when you're like, oh my God, it's 11 o'clock and I've done one of my 2 workouts.
Yeah. I need to go get the second one in.
Yeah, you're at nighttime running around your neighborhood by yourself or doing yoga on your patio, just trying to get something in. But man, does accomplishing that make you feel like I could do anything. And so I did that a few times, and then I started counting macros. And by the way, men, get your testosterone levels checked, figure out, because if you don't have the building blocks, I started doing tests in my 40s. It changed the game for me, because all of a sudden the progress, I could feel the difference. I started sleeping better. It felt like I was 22 again. Sex is better. Everything's better. This is better.
And that's a big one, especially nowadays. Men have very low testosterone. Have you?
Yeah. I was down in the low 200s.
And you're supposed to be over 500, right?
I'm not an expert. Go look this up for yourself. Probably between 700 to 1,000 is where you want to be.
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
I'm at about 1,000 right now.
Okay.
Yeah, but I love it. And there's creams you could do. There's little pills you can do. There's a shot. I mean, I do the shots. It's literally a literal pain in the ass. You got to give yourself shots twice a week. But there's men's health clinics. Just make sure you do your blood work constantly. You're checking your estrogen level. And, I started doing the biohacking and the ice bathing and all that. And I started to realize, like, wow, this new routine is much stronger. I feel way better all day long, doing it. And my body radically shifted. Like, and my goal was not to be the biggest, the strongest, like do competitions, any of that shit. I just want to look good naked.
Yeah.
That was my goal. I'm like, dude, if I walk by a mirror and I'm like, yeah.
Hey, buddy.
Hello. I'm doing it right for me.
Yeah.
And the pull-up, I started doing pull-ups about a year ago again, like aggressive. I was like, okay, I'm going to start doing pull-ups. And I was like, can I do 10 in a row? And then I built my way up to 10. Then I was like, oh, can I do 10 sets of 10? And then I started doing 100 at a time. Then I was like, can I do 250? And I started doing 250 at a time.
Like in a row?
No, not like at one session.
Okay.
Like I'll do 25 sets of 10. Like, so this morning I did 250 pull-ups.
Oh, shoot.
This morning at the gym. It takes me, like, I just do them in between every set of everything else. Like
250 pull-ups this morning?
Yeah. And the gym had a push-up record. And I was really laughing because you had to do as many push-ups as you could in a row. And the record of the gym was 89. And I'm like, I fucking warm up with 100. Let's go.
So you did it?
I spun the little wheel. I got a free smoothie.
Love that.
Yeah. I was like, this is light work over here. I thought this gym was actually doing better than that, But it took a long time to get there. A lot of discipline, a lot of focus. And I'm not a tough guy. I'm not a manly man like that. I don't watch sports.
Yeah. I mean, I don't think watching sports makes you a manly man.
I mean, I don't collect shoes.
Yeah.
I don't know anything about, man shit. But
I think 100 pull-ups is man shit.
Every man should be able to pick somebody up and carry them out of a dangerous situation.
Absolutely. I think that health plays into everything else too, like you were saying. I mean, I don't think you can run a good business if you don't feel good. And what I admire about you that you might already know about yourself, but I feel like you have built a great culture and you have real relationships, and I think the world sees you in like your social media and you kind of come off hard and harsh in this, but you are one of the most genuine, kind people I've ever met. And I see how you treat everyone around you. And there's a reason you have 20 plus year friendships.
Yeah.
Is because you can tell that you invest in the relationships around you and you show up for people.
Yeah. Do I come off harsh on social media?
I mean,
like, what's the vibe? What's the vibe check? Yeah, real
I thought you were really douchey before I ever met you.
Wait, what do you mean? What are you talking about?
I was just like, you would have been someone.
Did you just make the gag face? She just made the gag face.
No, not the good one.
Yeah. Wait, what happened?
Wait, cut that out.
What was?
We're gonna have to cut all that out.
No, you don't. Leave that in there. Do not cut this out. This is what makes this great. This is real stuff.
This was right? I met you in I met you before 2022, but actually got to know you. And I didn't even know who you really were in 2022 when we were at Cole's thing. Like, I didn't know you were some cool, big real estate guy. I told you I believed in you and I thought you could be something awesome one day. Like, it's so embarrassing looking back.
It was cute though. It was nice.
At least you knew I wasn't like talking to you thinking you were cool. Like, we weren't friends because I was like, oh, he's so cool.
Yeah,
I just genuinely respected who you were and how you were showing up at the orphanage. And so, but then actually realizing who you were from your social media, I like you at that time. And I think you're different now. I love your posts now on your morning, like motivationals and what, like your deep thoughts. I love that. I wish you would post them on your page and not just your stories. But yeah, you just came off a little like douchier, but I think it's that confidence and cockiness that isn't actually that. It's kind of like this, the way you show up.
So you're talking about like the Lambos and money and
and it's all part of the brand, right?
Yeah.
But the you outside of that isn't that at all. Like, I don't feel like
I don't give a shit about cars or anything. Yeah. Or money, really. I just use it as a scorecard to go fast. But that's funny. You're not the first person to tell me that. I'm extra douchey on social media, apparently.
Not now. This was the old you more. Yeah. So I would say that.
Well, I mean, look, when I was running Clever Investor, but long before the Ty Lopez's of the world, I was doing ads with Lamborghinis, and getting aggressive with cars and all kinds of stuff like that. And it's been a tried and true marketing strategy for anybody looking to get into real estate or build wealth. Before me, Tommy Vu was on a boat. Come to my seminar, and he had all the babes in bikinis, and this is in the 80s, and it's like that's been going on for a long time. And so it was just the new version of that. And I agree with you. It is extra douchey at times, but it frickin' worked. I mean, I would spend like out of that 25 million I spent on Facebook and Google, I made 150 million.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Well, and it works. And I think that's also a confidence level to be able to be like, look, this isn't necessarily who I am, but I know that this works for what I'm doing.
Yeah.
Because I feel like if I had to go and portray that kind of character, I don't even know if I have the confidence now to go do that, right? But then here's the other side of it. I've met people and they're like on Instagram, it's like, I'm so zen, I'm this. And then I meet them in person and I spend time with them and I'm like, I cannot stand this person. They are nothing how they're showing up.
Yeah.
So.
Oh, that drives me crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like you're like a sweet surprise. You're better on the inside.
All right.
Okay,
I'll take it.
Weird.
Let's go.
But yeah.
Okay. Well,
yeah. Anyways, I just wanted to tell you
that. Official Cody Sperber if you want to see my douchiness.
Yes. If you want to follow Cody, where do they find you? Is it you're at official Cody Sperber?
That's the one I would want them to follow. Yeah.
Okay.
That's because I'm posting on my stories there a lot. I have the Clever Investor, and that's probably the one I'm most known by. I got, over 1 million followers on that account, and I've had over 1 million followers since like 2016. But I'm sharing my life and I'm doing my little morning motivational stuff. Like I do social for like 30 minutes a day. I go on, you'll notice like almost all of my posts, except for maybe once every 2, 3, 4 weeks, is all at the same time every day while I'm at the gym. It's when I share my thoughts and put my stuff out there. And I know I'm not building my brand like I should be and all that, but my heart's not in it for that at the moment.
And that's okay. Yeah. Life has seasons. So I always like to leave people on this podcast because the mission is to illuminate the world with wisdom, perspective, and hope. Do you have something personal to you that can illuminate the world and you can leave people with that is full of wisdom, your perspective, or something to give them hope?
To give them hope. I would just say this, like one of the things that I wish I did a lot earlier in my journey is, a lot of us become entrepreneurs and focus on and really do a good job in business because we're running from something or we're using pain to drive us forward and a lot of times it comes like some people take their pain and they become addicted to alcohol or drugs or porn. I used my pain and I got addicted to working. Like I channeled mine towards success and it was almost an unhealthy obsession over like becoming successful. And when a couple years ago, when I went through my divorce and my mom passed away all in the same moment, it was like kind of like a rock bottom moment where it was like, hey, I got all this pain I'm carrying around that I'm not really channeling the right way. It's coming out in a very toxic, negative way. And so I started going upstream backwards to like, okay, let's heal my inner child. Like, let's really put in the personal development work. I'm not talking about like motivational personal development. I'm talking about real internal personal development where you're doing the EMDR, you're doing the breath work, you're doing the different modalities of experiential therapies and stuff to kind of just heal your shit. And I wish I would have done that a long time earlier, because you become the reason you think I was douchey before and like my messaging has changed, and I'm being for real about this, is because I was a different person back then. And I'm much different now. And I'm different, not because I didn't have the same thoughts or the same messaging back then. It came out different because I had to go through a very deep healing process to work through all those childhood traumas that we all carry around with us. And, why do you react so negatively when somebody cuts you off on the freeway? And some people don't. Some people can control their behaviors, and a real man can control their attitude and their behavior. Despite chaos happening all around him, the pressure building, things not going his way. And I just look at it like, man, I want to be the man that my daughter looks up to, that sets a standard, that she says, I'm not fucking around with any dude if they don't hit these numbers, these standards. And for a long time, I wasn't doing that as a father. And you just get to a point where you're like, man, I'm going to go put in that work. And it took me a long time. It's not overnight. It takes years of doing the therapy. And I wish I would have done it 20 years earlier. I would have made probably triple the amount of money and have kept a lot of relationships that I burnt, bridges that I burnt down, different things that I look back at some of my reactions and I'm like, God, I could have avoided a lot of self-induced problems if I would have just been able to control myself better. And that comes from healing. And so I would just say one of the best things I ever did was go to psychological counseling services in Scottsdale, Arizona, pay them $10,000, go to a week-long intensive, and it doesn't have to be them, it could be anyone. But go through those experiential moments so you can. I built a trauma egg, I did my intimacy circles, I did all the things, and I came out the other end and I felt 1,000 times lighter, 1,000,000 times more clear, right? Like who I am and what I want to be and how I roll through life. Now, not to sound like I'm braggadocious or anything, because anybody could do this, is when I walk into a room now, my energy is in front of me. Like everybody knows I'm in that room as I walk in. Not because I'm so cool or I'm doing all these things or I have a certain amount of things or money, because my energy is different. I just feel different about life and how I'm rolling through it. So I would say, man, if you can afford to do it in any way, it's the best investment you can ever make. You'll never go wrong investing in your personal development or healing yourself. Go do that now. And one of the strongest things that came out of that therapy was me reconnecting with God. I put God back in the center of my intimacy circles, where he's the center of my world. And like even right now, I'm going through a lot of tough times, because for every new level, there's a new devil. And it doesn't matter what you're doing. The challenges and hurdles and pain and problems, they're always going to come at you. I just deal with them a lot differently now because I have a co-pilot. I know God's got a plan. He doesn't make mistakes. He's not playing defense, and he's got my back. So I'm like, cool. This is what we're doing now. Yeah. Okay, let's roll. And I never had that before. I was always triaging whoever was needed me in my life and put them in the center of my universe. And God was somewhere over here, and I just said, we're not doing that any longer. And like any muscle, going to the gym, doing my pull-ups, doing anything, building a relationship with God is a muscle. You got to work it every single day and show up and put in the reps, and it starts to get stronger. Because for the first year and a half, I would pray and I'd be like, I don't hear anything back. Like nothing's happening. Yeah. But then all of a sudden I started to look around and I'm like, oh my God, all these pieces are getting moved around the chessboard for me. Doors closing, doors opening. And I'm like, oh, that's how God talks to me. I'm starting to see it now in how life is unfolding and how I view things. And it gets better. It gets better over time. So
thank you for sharing that.
Yeah.
I appreciate that. All right, Cody, is there anything else you'd like to leave the people with before we go? Or
I'm good.
I think we're good. Thank you.
We did it.
We did it.
Yeah. Thank you for having me on. I appreciate it.
Thank you.